Welcome to Magic Boy fans.
All right, let's get right into it. We're going to be unpacking the really dense, super powerful, and honestly kind of haunting world of W.N. Weethungus' poem, Ballad of the Breathing Prison. And you'll see, this isn't just some words on a page. No, it's more like a full-throated cry coming from inside a system that has become, well, terrifyingly alive. And the poem, wow, it wastes absolutely no time. It hits us right out of the gate with this central, arresting image. I mean, forget stone and steel. This prison, it's a living, breathing organism. It's a metaphor that just grabs you from the very first lines and really sets the stage for everything that's about to unfold. So, to really get a handle on this poem, we have to start by unpacking that core metaphor. I mean, what does it actually mean for a prison to breathe? Okay, and this definition is absolutely crucial. The poem isn't really talking about a building. It's talking about an entire society, a whole nation maybe, that has just turned inward on itself. And the words used here are so key: suffocating, self-contained, decay. You see, this isn't just a place where you're locked up. It's a whole system that's just rotting from the inside out. And just as you're wrapping your head around this abstract idea, the poem grounds it in a really shocking reality. It tells us that this structure, it's meant to house maybe a few thousand people, but instead it's swarming with 20,000 souls. And listen, that's not just a number. It's a sign of a system at its absolute breaking point, just bursting at the seams with human suffering. And this is the result of that overcrowding. Just look at the language the poem uses: sleep without slumber. I mean, can you imagine that? A state of constant, restless exhaustion. And then there's this image of people lying like bread on a plate. It's so incredibly dehumanizing. They're not people anymore. They're just passive objects, things to be consumed. Their dreams, their hopes, they're literally being sold off for the smallest comfort, like a candle or a quick escape in a bottle. It's a complete and total loss of who they are. You know, that overwhelming sense of suffocation brings us to the prison structure itself. Now, every prison has walls, right? But in this poem, they're built from two very, very different materials. One is granite, and the other is lies. So first, you've got the physical barrier. It's described as being like a mountain, just this imposing, unmovable force of nature. And that detail, cold granite and gray, it's perfect. It strips away any hint of warmth or life. It's just a dead, brutal structure designed for one thing: to intimidate you and keep you locked in. But then, almost immediately, the poem contrasts that physical wall with the prison's real foundation. See, it's not actually built on stone. It's built on deception. Castles of lies. Just think about that phrase for a second. Castles are supposed to be these grand, protective symbols of strength. But here, they're hollow, built on falsehoods just to trick people into accepting their own confinement. And that's when you start to realize the physical structures are really just there for a psychological purpose. That iron gate, for instance, isn't just designed to keep people in, it's explicitly designed to keep hope out. It's a weapon, plain and simple, meant to crush the human spirit. It's there to make escape feel not just physically impossible, but emotionally and psychologically impossible too. So, you've got these massive walls of lies holding everyone captive. But who's in charge on the inside? Well, a really stark hierarchy has taken root, and the poem gives its rulers a name that is just absolutely chilling: vultures in velvet. And the gap between the two groups is just staggering. On the one side, you have the rulers. They're called vultures in velvet, who dine like old kings. They're predators, but they're cloaked in luxury. And then on the other side, you have the people. They're described as half dead, half alive. Their dreams are sold off while they just drown. And it gets even more explicit than that. The poem suggests a complete inversion of morality. You know, a world turned completely upside down. In this prison society, the most heinous criminals aren't punished. Instead, they're elevated to positions of power. Their crimes are basically legitimized by what the poem calls ministerial crowns. And, you know, when criminals are in charge, what do? They create their own system. And that's what keeps this prison breathing, a full-blown illicit economy. This isn't chaos, not really. It's a functioning, but completely and utterly broken society. I mean, just look at what's being traded. You have the tools of modern life, laptops, right there alongside bullets. But honestly, the most chilling part is the corruption of the very institutions that are supposed to heal people.
We're talking potions from doctors and hell sold by nurses. It shows that every single part of society, even the professions we're supposed to trust the most, has been twisted and perverted by this system. And this right here is basically the final nail in the coffin for a just society. Justice, as a concept, it still exists somewhere out there. It sends its polite little orders, which is really just a weak, formal gesture, but it's completely powerless. The poem says justice literally gets to the gates of the prison and just turns back. It won't dare go inside. The rule of law has been totally defeated by the rule of corruption. But after all that darkness and despair, the poem actually shifts its tone in the final stanzas. It starts moving towards its conclusion, and it focuses on people.
This is just a pause, not the end.